A teenage vigilante seeks revenge on a group of violent thugs who raped her handicapped sister and killed her best friend. Savage Streets, starring Linda Blair. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Worst of the Worst podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Doug Carrion from Los Angeles, California. Welcome to episode number 2. And today we are going to unpack Savage Streets, the 1984 Linda Blair vigilante classic. That is, it's a picture. It's a funny one. It was so over the top that even the 24 minutes that had to be cut barely made it releasable in the UK. That's how kind of raunchy this one is. But it's a great film. It's funny. I can't wait to unpack it. Today, I'll introduce the guests in a second. Very much looking forward to the show. I want to ask the question, how's everybody out there in podcast land? Are you doing well? Everything good with you? The family's good? Kids are good? Boyfriend, husband, wife, sister's good? Everybody's rocking and rolling? Excellente. We're going to chug right along, and away we go. So let me introduce the first guest. She puts the R in ratchet, the always aggressive, fantastically funny, maybe even the love of my life, Miss Courtney Blue. Come on now, let's hear it for Courtney.
Hello. I'm
Whoa.
excited. Week 2.
Yes, it's exciting. Did you see this film? Did you see Savage Streets?
Did.
Okay, what's your quick kind of bullet lines? What'd you think?
Okay, so you guys are going to hate me because I slightly didn't mind this movie. I'll tell you why when we get into details, but there are a lot of things that definitely ticked me off, and that was definitely, like you said, over the top. So I can't wait to kind of delve into everything.
Okay, good. So you're good. You're prepped. When did you watch it? You're prepped? Did you watch it just recently or a couple days ago?
Last night, actually. Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's something. I usually watch them twice. I watch it once, kind of to take notes, and then I'll watch it a second time just to see if I missed anything.
With the first movie, but I didn't have an opportunity to, so I definitely was glued to the screen so I can capture everything that I wanted to kind of like touch on. So I think I'm well prepared, and I'm so excited.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Guest number 2 from the Savage media world. He's also one of those funny YouTuber guys, does the stand-up comedy thing. I kind of know him as Uncle Fiki's nephew. Let's hear it for Karlos Dillard. Come on now. Karlos, what do you got? Karlos, what do you got?
Where is he?
Karlos is so excited we lost it.
Can you guys not hear me?
No.
What were you doing? Getting something for Fiki? What are you doing over there?
No, my car is too smart. It keeps trying to connect me to my Bluetooth to my car, and it turns off my speaker thing to speak into. So I had to just figure that out real quick.
Right. No, I know that. That's modern technology trying to take advantage right there, you know?
Yeah, it's trying to make me look like I'm not prepared. But no, I watched it yesterday morning. I watched it at like 9 o'clock in the morning yesterday. First of all, Doug, can we get some more movies with more dick? Because there's a lot of vagina and titties in this one.
Okay, well, I'll definitely we'll run it.
Okay with that though.
We're gonna run it by the producers. And see what we got. But
I had
sure.
no issues.
Okay, so you want more twigs and berries, is what you're saying, Karlos?
Yeah. Well, the thing was that they were showing the women just like full vagina, but then they never showed any guys' penises. I was just waiting.
I don't know. Hey, I appreciate the request. I'll have to look further into it, try to figure it out. I'm sure there's definitely gazillions of movies out there with decent. You weren't sold with the Playgirl thing where they're talking about, what does she say? If it's less than 10 inches, it ain't worth it.
Yes.
That wasn't funny to you?
Yeah, no, that was not funny to me.
That was okay.
Literally, I was sitting there just #triggered as fuck the whole hour and 45 minutes.
Right. That's funny. All right, are we ready to unpack this thing? Everybody's
Very
good?
ready.
We're going to unpack this thing?
Very ready.
Okay, let's
go.
All right, let's jump. We're going to do it. So the story opens up. We're outside Vince, who's one of the characters, is leaving his house. Vince is walking out. It's one of those things. It's nighttime. Vince's dad steps it out of the door and says, "You be home by 11 o'clock. He's screaming at him. And we learn right out of the gate, wow, Vince is sneaking. He's not really sneaking out of his house, but maybe he's telling his dad he's going to the library or something like that. And he's really going to go off. He's really going to go off, and go hang with the scars, which this story is. It's one of those ones where it could go. The storylines could have gone a couple different ways. Right now, the story's about Brenda and her sister Heather, and Heather getting raped, and her friend Francine getting murdered, and this opposing gang guys, the Scars. So Vince is
First of all, quick question. How old were these motherfuckers in the Scars? Because they look like they were pushing 38.
They were about 42, just like the last movie.
There's a lot of themes. Karlos, there's a lot of themes that are going to be tied like this one, like the last, like Class of Nukem High. But I agree with you. Now the thing is, Vince he's in high school, but he's the oldest high school guy I've ever seen. Not that many people have Vince looks like he's 35.
He's got a shadow.
Right, and the Scars look like they're 45. So it is what it is. So Vince is cruising. He's changing his clothes outside because he wants to hang with the gang. He wants to hang with the guys. The guys pick him up. They're cruising down Hollywood Boulevard. They're drinking beers. They're yelling at chicks. That's exactly what life is like in the 80s. That's what you were doing. You're drinking Miller. You're drinking Miller beers and hucking cans at people on the streets. There were no cops around. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. That's how we did.
That was like my second thing. I was just like, what city is this in? Because these people are committing all types of law.
Karlos, keep the triggers down. Doug's gonna get to the parts, and then you can bug out. I promise.
You can do it. I want you to unload all the barrels. We're going AR-15 on this one. Don't worry. It's good. So we're cruising down the street. He's doing his thing. I love Jake's line where Jake, who's the main Scar guy, he takes his cigarette and he puts his cigarette out in his hand, and he's like, "I did that because I'm tough as fuck." It's just a total Neanderthal knuckle dragger. with his razor blade earrings. Did you catch his on the left? He's got his razor blade earrings.
Pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie.
And I think that's very convenient. Since he was also in the Coke game. It just all he has to do is take off his earring, and he's practically there with contraband and ready to start chopping up the lines and hanging out on Hollywood Boulevard. So the guys are cruising down the street, and in come the girls. And now you have at the beginning when I watched this the first time, I thought the girl kind of group was called the Satins. But way later down the line, I realized that the girl group is called the Satans, which is that's kind of an interesting turn. Yeah. But you see, so now we got the girls walking down Hollywood Boulevard. There's always this very questionable wardrobe choice, and you see Linda Blair, and Linda Blair is quite bousmic, with her go.
Looked fly. There was nothing wrong with their outfits. I actually liked I analyzed every last thing they were wearing, and I was like, "That's bomb. That's popping. She can get it." I was happy. I was really happy with this wardrobe as opposed to Nukem High. I swear, I really was.
My only problem with the girl group is that all the black girls didn't have their edges laid. Like, who did their hair?
Oh my god. Okay, continue, Doug.
The white girl's hair was on point, but all the black girls' hair was just fucked up.
Just rough. Poor Stella. Her hair was super rough.
Stella was rocking it. I don't know what you're talking about. Natural was in, Karlos. Natural was
she in. Had
no
she had some pretty.
No nothing. Just baby edges just
it
everywhere.
It was 84.
I thought, hey man, that was pretty good. It was pretty good. But the Stella character was played by Ina Romero. So she didn't do a bunch of movies post this. She might be doing like half a dozen movies or something like this. But definitely, she got a couple of one-liners. We got a couple of black people in this film. Not a lot, a couple, But there you go. So the girls are cruising down the street. They're tough, kind of raunchy chicks cruising Hollywood Boulevard. La 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 la. I'm wondering, what's going on with the mousy girl that's with them, and you see that the mousy girl is Heather, and Heather is Linda Blair, who's Brenda. That's the tough chick. That's her mousy little sister, and they're all cruising down Hollywood Boulevard. I might add, on a school night. Keep in mind, it's a school night. They're cruising down Hollywood Boulevard, and they're doing their thing. My first question is, why is Linda Blair wearing glasses at night? Why is she wearing glasses at night? What do you think, Courtney?
You don't question the swag, Doug. You just let it happen.
You just go?
Yes, you just let it happen.
What do you think, Carlos? What's going on with the glasses at night?
She wears her sunglasses at night, so she can.
Okay. So she's just.
No problem with wearing glasses at night.
She's just following the '80s theme, following the '80s theme.
Being swagged out. I mean, like, that's bomb. I know people who wear sunglasses inside the club. It's just you do it and you just let it be.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're cruising along. The gals are cruising down Hollywood Boulevard, and they stop in front of this Army, Navy kind of store, and they see a bunch of things for sale.
Yep.
Weapons, I might add. And I just wanted to know, did you know in 1984 you could get the weekend special and buy a fucking bear trap for $37?
I caught that. I was like, where do they do that at? Because I want to be there.
A $37 bear trap could be had in 1984 in Hollywood. Carlos, are there bears in Hollywood?
I don't know. You live in LA. I don't live in. All I saw, the only bears I know is the sexual bears, big white bears.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Carlos, you could be bringing an interesting flip to the story. Maybe that's where we're going. We got the bear traps. But see, then you're on the wrong part of town. I know that. I know the city really well. So if you were on Santa Monica Boulevard, you might be selling the bear traps. Or if you were on Santa Monica and La Brea, where the Chicken Hawk is, that's where you'd be selling the bear traps. But they're in Hollywood Boulevard. So that's not where the bear traps. You're not. You could set those down. You could set those bear traps all night long. Let me tell you, you're not going to catch a bear up that way. Nope. Nope. You're in the wrong part of town. So, but what is up that way are the peep shows, and this is this is shot in '84. So you figure in 1990, the landscape of Hollywood Boulevard changed quite a bit in 1992 because we had the riots. So a lot of the buildings that are there in the film, they're not there comes the 90s or now because they just got burned down during the riots. So it was neat to see some of the older, Nest shoes and some of the older buildings from the 80s. So the gals now find themselves in front of this peep show place, right, where they're looking at they're watching a peep show like that, and you find out that Francine is getting married again, a high school girl getting married. What's going on here?
17.
What's going on? She's 17. She's getting married to Richie. And I'm not going to tell you why. I'm going to save that for later down the line. But you find out that Francine is getting married to Richie, and Maria, played by the Mexican girl, they got to throw in the stereotype
My favorite,
Mexican
by
girl.
The way. She was
there. You go. She was spicy. Maria is telling her, you should go into the peep show place and you should get some props and tools. You're getting married soon. You might need these. What do you think about that? Should they be going inside the peep show?
Sure. Why not?
Nobody checked
IDs.
Nobody checked IDs.
Nobody checked IDs.
Then why not?
Nope. So the girls are now outside the peep show, and you realize that their favorite drink on a school night is peppermint schnapps.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, that's also the same drink, the preferred drink for the boys, the peppermint schnapps.
Oh,
So
I didn't notice that.
I'm wondering, could it have been the same prop and both parties are just like, okay, here's the alcohol. This is all we got. It's the peach schnapps bottle. Just use this one.
They
because
were filming
let me tell
at like
you,
1 a.m. and all the liquor stores were closed, so they couldn't get anything out.
For a guy that's a drug dealer and has a razor blade for an earring, and he's supposed to be peppermint schnapps is a little bit. It's a little bit of a light drink, a little weak there, Jake. A little weak, buddy. You could be drinking scotch, you could be drinking Black Label, you could be drinking, Colt 45s, you could be drinking all kinds of things, but schnapps, that's making you look bad, buddy. You're not helping your cause sipping peppermint schnapps. I don't know. That's just me with that one. So the gals are cruising along. All of a sudden, you find out that Brenda is extra protective of Heather and says, hey, don't give my sister peppermint schnapps, or don't give her the peach schnapps. That's not cool. The girls are walking down the street, right? And they're talking and kind of window shopping. And all of a sudden, Heather steps out into the street. And because Heather is deaf and mute, she doesn't see Fargo and Jake and Vince and Red's big 56 Bel Air come whipping around the turn, and she panics and falls in front of the car, but she doesn't get hit.
So, Doug, quick question. Am I mistaken?
Sir.
They established that she was deaf. They never said that she was mute, because that was one of my big things. I was like, they established that she was deaf when she almost got hit or whatever, but they didn't actually say that she was mute. Was she mute, or did she just not talk?
She's definitely mute, because way later in the story, when they're talking about, oh my gosh, one of the points is that Brenda is upset because her sister couldn't even scream for help.
She couldn't scream for help. Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
So they didn't do it at the beginning, but they definitely do it. They definitely do it a little bit later. Something also, what I thought was peculiar was Linda Blair or Brenda didn't sign any. And I thought that they could have just had if you live in a house with somebody that's, I don't know, whatever, let's say that they're both 18 and 16 or whatever it is, you kind of learn sign language. If somebody's mute and somebody's deaf, you learn sign language. And I thought they kind of,
they dropped the ball with that.
Yeah, they dropped the ball on that one. Because you can see.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you can see later down the line, Heather is trying to teach Red. So we'll get to that, trying to teach Red sign language. But, sip of water, but that's where we are. So the guy's basic. Yes.
Wait. When I saw the movie, maybe I missed this, but why was Heather crossing the street in the first place? Were the other girls even crossing the street?
I think she slipped.
I don't understand.
She slipped. I think she slipped.
You think so?
I don't think she meant to cross.
She just walked into the street.
I thought they were all cruising the street, and the pack of girls was behind her. Yeah. And she just walked out in the street, and the car turned really sharp to the right because it was, making a turn, and she almost got clipped.
Yeah.
No, she didn't. She saw that car and just fell down in front of
her. She's trying to draw the foul.
Oh my God.
She's trying to get an insurance check. That's insurance fraud right there.
They're trying to catch a case. I love it. Here's my question. So the guys pull over, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's yelling at the guys, you assholes, fuck you. What are you doing? Da, da, da. How does Jake know Brenda? Because he's like, hey, Brenda, looking good. And so it's all of a sudden is it safe to assume that Jake and Brenda know each other? How? Because they're both like Hollywood
drugs. She does. That's her drug dealer.
Oh, wait, okay. I forgot because they're older. No, wait, I'm under the impression that they were once in school with all of them, but they dropped out, and then they also are older for high school now. I feel like the little guy is still in high school. They might have been supposed to graduate the year before, but of course they probably dropped out. I feel like they all had gone to that school at one point. That's why they might know each other. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. Interesting. Okay, I'll go with that. So you think they're kind of like the druggy dropouts? They decided to take the drug dealer. They're doing the drug dealer career path.
Exactly.
They're going down that road. Okay,
That's what
I'll
I feel
buy
like
that.
it's going on in that whole situation.
Works for me. So Linda Blair basically tells Jake to fuck off, and she does, just tells him to fuck off. She's not going to go on a date with him. And that scene kind of ends. The next scene, we see this couple walking through this parking lot, and Jake and the gang are going to shake this couple down. Mm-hmm. You realize that the guy that they're shaking down is one of the gang's mules, and he sells drugs for the gang. And Jake is trying to collect, right? Okay, so
that's when it reminded me of Nukem High. I was like, at that part, like every time they came up in contact with that guy that sold drugs for them, it reminded me of Nukem High. I'm like, what movie am I watching?
Right. So what happens is the guys kind of confront the couple, and Fargo, who seems to be the one that's the gropiest of the crew. He's the guy that's always he's grabbing everybody's titties.
It's like every one.
No, that's Red, of course.
Oh, duh! I'm an idiot.
These are white people.
The other one. I got you.
They're white people. He's the other one. He's the one with like the six pack and the hairy chest that has his vest open all the time. Him. So he grabs the blonde girl, right? And he's holding the blonde girl, and Jake's kind of
boobies.
Out comes boobies, and there you go. And there's your R rating, ladies and gentlemen. Poor. Go.
Doug. I was so upset about the little titties in Nukem High. I definitely got my fill this time. I commend you on picking a movie with actual boobs.
We just gonna skirt over. You said outcome titty. No, that bitch got her top ripped off. Like, outcome the titties.
So I'll go down that road. So Fargo rips off the girl's. What do they call that thing? Is it a tube top? Tube top. He rips off the tube top. Boing. There's no Coke hidden under the titties, nothing like that. They're like, nope, no Coke here, right? And then poor Vince. Vince is just trying to make his way. I don't know why he wants to be in the Scars. I never figured that at all, because the Scars are a bunch of fuck ups.
They're useless.
They're useless. They're useless. But Fargo grabs Vince's head, and he's like putting him in the girl's tits, like, look for the Coke. Of course, he doesn't find anything. But what's classic about this scene is the girl never says anything.
No,
she doesn't scream.
Look upset.
She doesn't throw a front kick. She doesn't fuck you, So
did you notice she was like grabbing the guy's arm like comfortably, like that was like groping her? I noticed that like right off the bat. I'm like, why does she seem like her arm is not like grabbing him like get the fuck off? It's like, keep doing it, baby. It was weird. It was really strange.
Right. It was pretty. It was a pretty definitely not cool to be grabbing girls' boob tops and stuff like that. That's not cool, ladies and gentlemen. But her reaction was like, she's just totally still. I don't know what was going on. Just out there, maybe things were different in the 80s. I don't know. We'll have to go to the internet. We're going to have to research that one. So next scene, moving forward down the timeline, the girls are standing out in front of this magazine sign, and they're reading Playgirl. And Kurt Russell, do you know who that is? Kurt Russell? Yep. Actor. Okay. So they're reading Kurt Russell, and these are high school girls reading a Playgirl magazine talking about Kurt Russell's dick size. And so it's the question was, do you think he leaves that on the nightstand when he goes to bed?
That was so corny.
I loved it.
Come on, dude. Carlos, come on, dude. Give me one that would have worked better there. Give me a one-liner.
That definitely wouldn't have worked. Like, that was corny as hell.
Come on.
One good one. It's the 80s. So we'll give him a little slack. So Brenda comes into the scene. Brenda and Heather are there together, and they're kind of like, oh, you shouldn't be looking at that, or who knows what they're doing. Again, is this story about Francine, the girls that getting ready to get married? Is that what the story's about? We're still trying to find out, what's the plot line really following. Across the street, you see Jake and the other Scars, and they're talking to this, motorcycle guy in the alley. And you do see Jake kissing the guy.
Yeah.
Did anybody?
There was a lot of bromance happening.
there was some
it was
there
serious.
was some serious bromance. So so Jake's kissing the other motorcycle guy, and the girls realize, the guys are walking, they're off dealing drugs and stuff. So the girls get the idea that they're going to steal the Scar's car. So they're going to steal Jake's car. So they steal Jake's car, and they're racing around Hollywood Boulevard, and their hair's flying through the wind. It's beautiful. The guys are chasing in the back. The girls are smoking cigarettes, having a good time. They decide to pull the car over in an alley, and after they've been driving around, the guys have been chasing them. They're going to ditch the car, and they fill the car with trash. Okay. Okay, great, no problem. Then it cuts to the girls having ice cream. Like, I'm not sure why this is relevant to the story, but okay.
Because they were going for ice cream, Doug. They wanted to go to ice cream the whole time, and they got a ride to go get ice cream, whatever part of town. They got their ice cream, and they're celebrating being badass bitches that stole those dickheads' car. So it was definitely relevant. It was like redemption.
Okay. Karlos, what do you think? What do you think about the weird ice cream shop scene that lasts for about 100th of a second?
To be completely honest, it started to lose my attention until that one girl shoved the ice cream cone into her face. And I was like, are they going to have like some type of like 1980s like girl fight with ice cream? Like, is this what's going on here? I'm not sure.
Right.
I sense anger, Karlos. I feel like this movie made you angry.
No, I really feel like you guessed correctly. Like, this is very outside of my comfort zone. There's a lot of titties. There's a lot of white rape happening. I just couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it.
That's well. I definitely don't mean to push your buttons, but I'm happy to lean you in a direction that's making you upset.
Doug, it's too many white titties. He doesn't like white titties.
All right, I did notice that there was not one black girl in the shower. We're gonna get to that in a second. I don't think he would have cared
about black titties either. I think that would have pissed him off even more.
No. Okay, so we're jumping in. So now we have the gym scene, which is it's that same theme. Here's the gym, and the girls are working out in the gym, and there's the mean gym teacher telling Brenda,
definitely checking them out.
Right, they're hitting all the boxes. Yes. On my second pass, I was thinking, she seems I don't know. I think she might be, doing the Dinosaur Classic and joining the PGA.
Way too hard. It was awkward for me.
Right. Move your ass, Brenda had a couple different meanings on that one.
You're so stupid. I'm like, and you know what, Doug? It's crazy because a lot of the other girls behind Brenda were doing just as shitty, but for some reason she kept picking on Brenda, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is this all about?
Right. So they're in the thing. I don't know. What are they doing? Are they doing aerobics? They're not doing aerobics. They must. They're not doing any kind of workout. I don't know what they're doing. They're doing some kind of like light dancing, light stretching. So Stevie, who's one of the girls that's in the Satans, one of the bad girls, she's listening to music, and of course the gym teacher gets mad at her. What are you listening to? Screaming at her and all that. It always happens. There's always one in the bunch, and Stevie's the one in the bunch that's causing trouble. Okay. Next scene is in the hallway. And Jake is confronting the drug dealer from, remember the night before?
Yep.
The one that had the tube top pulled down? Yep. Same drug dealer. This time it's in the hallway at the school.
I'm like, how did you guys get in the fucking school? Like, did nobody notice these guys that don't belong? Like, that's crazy.
This is pre all the security.
True.
This is before, a long time ago. You could if you're the local drug dealer, you could just walk onto a campus and got to handle your business, So I think in comes Principal Underwood, and what's funny about Principal Underwood is it's played by a guy named John Vernon, and it's also, this is my Animal House connection. It's the same guy that played Dean Vernon in Animal House, which is as I watched it on the second pass, I thought to myself, holy shit. The parts, not only are the parts interchangeable, the dialogue's interchangeable.
Yep.
Like, you could have had him.
Though, Doug, a lot of 80s movies kind of piggybacked off of the whole Animal House kind of franchise, I guess.
Right.
And I notice it both in Nukem High and in this movie. It's kind of crazy.
Right. So Principal Underwood basically, he's telling the boys that there's this standoff, and he's telling the boys they've got to leave the campus. I think one of the funniest lines from it is he tells Jake, "Why don't you fuck an iceberg?" Which I thought was pretty like, whoa, that's new. Where are we going here?
I was like, wait, what?
What? I don't know. I never heard that one. Nope. Nope. Never heard that one. So he's telling the guy, he's telling the guys to get out of there. And he's yelling at Vince, and he's telling him, Vince, you're screwing up your life. Jake spits on the floor. There's the standoff between the principal and the Scars. Finally, the guys leave. And now we move into the pep rally, the cheerleading team practice. Right. And we meet Cindy Clark, and Cindy Clark's there, and she's like dancing, and she's doing the worst cheerleading moves I've ever seen. But
she's
her
pretty,
boy,
and that's all that matters.
But she's okay. She's okay. but what's kind of creepy is that you've got Wes, her weird boyfriend, just lurking from the bleachers, like, hey baby, as
creepy as hell.
Just creepy guy, just watching the girls. Okay, so they're doing their
terrible routine.
Their routines. Wes is watching. Now we go back into the gym with Brenda and the girls, and they're doing their stretching, and then Wes walks in.
Yeah, and I'm like, what?
The teacher doesn't say anything. Like, you could just walk in and just, start
this
watching.
Creepy man can just walk in. Creepy fucking student can walk in, looking at all the females, and there's no issue. And then also, Doug, I don't understand why they're able to wear such skimpy things in whatever fucking class this is. Like, they have the most skimpy outfits I've ever seen in any school. It's ridiculous. So that just made the creep factor 100%.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's this funny line of like the girls being, I don't know. I mean, right now, if you look at like what teenage girls wear at school, I think they wear the least amount possible.
How's that? Very true. You're making a good point.
Like, and I would bet, like, if you went back on the timeline, like, I don't know, whatever the 1950s model is, the girls would wear the shortest skirts that they could, the least amount of fabric as possible, and always get in trouble. So I think when it comes to the, when you're at the gym, you remember, what was that Olivia Newton-John movie that she had? Physical. Let's get physical. Right? See, that's what
Flash
they're wearing.
dance.
That's I don't know what it is. Flash dance.
No, that was Jennifer Beal or whatever. What the fuck?
Right.
I don't know
anymore.
That's
the one where it's the performing arts school in New York.
Gotcha. I can't remember now.
Right. So anyway, blah 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 blah. Story keep going down the timeline. Jake's now watching the girls at the pep practice, right? He's watching them. And Red says, hey, isn't that the girl we almost hit the other night? And you see Heather now on the campus. So Heather's kind of starting to go meet up with Brenda in the gym. She goes to meet up with Brenda. Again, Brenda doesn't know any sign language, but just says to her something to the effect of, you should sit down. I'll come get you after I'm done with practice. She's going to go to the showers. And so Cindy walks up to Brenda and is telling her, or she's saying to Wes, you have to stop checking these girls out all the time. Wes, of course, doesn't have any real lines, anything like that. Right? Just, nope, no lines. Okay. Cindy is now telling Wes to leave Brenda alone. She's calling Brenda a slut. Cindy flips off Brenda. Now, again, what's the backstory? What did Brenda do to Cindy?
Because what it is? because
Huh.
Brenda is the hot girl, and Brenda, all the guys look at her, and she knows. But I think the other girl, it's so crazy because the other girl doesn't get as angry as I probably would have, or any girl I know would have when her boyfriend is lurking and obviously watching this other girl, obviously has the hots for this other girl, and for some reason just won't stop going near her when she told her to, and when she told him to, I would literally flip the fuck out. But she pretty much handled her shit.
Okay. Cool. So Heather and Brenda are sitting on the bleachers. You start to learn that Heather knows a little bit of sign language. Brenda does not, which I thought was strange since they live in the same house. Heather gives Brenda a little locket, some kind of heart. The next scene is definitely where they got their R rating. And so it's this shower scene, and it's just straight up nude girls.
Yep.
Like
there's just bushy vaginas everywhere.
God, here we go.
Carlos, Carlos, tell me everything about this wide shot of the shower.
Excited.
Go.
I
want to hear it.
So this scene is just about like 25 to 30 white women, just titties just everywhere, just vagina just everywhere. Nobody shaves.
Nobody shaves.
That
didn't come in until 91.
Like literally, you could eat them out.
Doug knows the year shaving came into existence. That's the
Totally
problem.
I'm fucking with you.
Wait, what?
And then part of it, like their girls were fighting and like grabbing each other's thighs and titties. I was like, oh, this is way too much for me.
What was great about the shower scene is none of the characters in the story, well, Linda Blair does a topless shot later down the line, but none of the girls, you'd think that they'd be in the shower. That's why it was relevant. Even if you're using their backs and they're talking and the other girls are naked in the shower. So it's like the nude girls in the shower. The only reason for the nude girls was, I guess, to see nude girls in the shower. Like there you go. This is what's going on. Again, I'm wondering what's going on in this high school. Like that just seems a little bit out there, but okay. Okay. So in the locker room now, it's the Satans. The girls are all talking, and Francine's talking about that she's going to get married, and she wants to make sure that the other girls in the gang are going to show up to her wedding, but they're not going to be stoned or high or anything like that. She wants them to be on their bestest behavior, right? So Heather is sitting, so it cuts to Heather sitting in the empty gym all by herself. Poor little thing. She's deaf and she's mute, and she decides that she wants to dance like a ballerina, and she's dancing, and in comes one of the Scar gang guys, Red, and Red's watching her and kind of startles her, and she runs away a little bit. Red kind of comes up to her, and the two of them start talking, and you're thinking like, wow, Heather is very friendly with the gang that almost tried to run her over the night before. So 12 hours before, she almost got run over by the same guys. Now she's sitting and teaching sign language to Red.
And she's perfectly okay with this.
100% okay with it. She's happy. Everything's good. Cuts back to the showers, to the lockers, and Cindy and Brenda start to argue. Okay. And they're talking about, of course, Cindy is calling Brenda a slut. Brenda is saying, the great lines like, I'm sorry, I don't have time to kick your ass today. I'm too busy. Stuff like that.
I loved her badass little girl lines. They were adorable. I was like, oh, that's adorable.
Right. Then we're back to the gym with Heather and Red, and they're sitting and talking, and Red, who like he, when you meet somebody and things start going in the right direction, and then one person moves a little bit too fast.
Yep.
This is what Red does, and Red moves in a little bit too hot, and he tries to kiss Heather, and he scares her off, scares her off. She goes running away. And now all of a sudden, Jake and the other goons are at the gym. Don't know why they're there, but I guess they're there now. They're hanging out. They should be on Hollywood Boulevard selling Coke. That's where there's good customers, but they're not. They're at this high school. And then we go into the Cindy and Brenda fight scene naked in the shower. Karlos, what is going on here? Tell me what's happening.
So these girls were just like, it was like that scene from Mean Girls when all the girls were fighting, but they were naked. And there was just titties flying everywhere. And then this coach comes in looking like a man, and she's like, "Stop it! Stop it!" It was crazy. It
was like, okay. Doug.
Yes.
The freaking coach was in there and saying "stop it" as if like you're looking at a fucking stop sign that's green. It's like she really didn't want anybody to stop. It's just like,
right.
Stop it, but keep going because I like this. Can we just talk about also how there's two random girls fighting in the back scene?
Thank you.
Two main girls fighting. I'm like, what happened? What the fuck?
What is going on? There's a sub fight. There's the main event. And then you've got some background brawlers.
Yep.
Just boobies flying and brawling away. Yeah, I couldn't figure that one out too. Now I thought maybe they were fighting over one of them used the other one's conditioner without asking or something like that, or used their razor without asking. These things happen in the girls' showers.
No, they
so
don't.
I'm told. Oh, you sure? You sure? You sure? I read about it on the internet. You sure? No. Okay. So, again, the rando, there's already the two girls fighting, Brenda and Cindy. And then there's the rando fight of the people just randomly fighting in the back. Never figured that one out. Couldn't, how we tie it into the story. Nobody knows. So finally, we're getting to definitely what made this above R, the creepier part of the story, where the guys have grabbed the Heather, the deaf mute girl, and they've dragged her back to the locker room, and they're going to start taking advantage of her, and it's this rape scene. And what I had learned was that the rape scene was originally a lot longer, like really, really long, and they ended up
that was a really long rape scene.
Holy that! Well, that's the short version. That was the short version there.
You know what, guys? I actually liked the element of it though, because it's dark and gritty and realistic. When the whole movie is unrealistic, but that was the only realistic thing about it, and I think that it was executed perfectly. Yeah, a couple 20 other minutes would have been too much, but I think that it was perfectly executed where you feel bad and you're like, okay, I need to see what the fuck happens after this. I think it worked, to be totally honest with you.
You think it worked? Yeah, that was kind of creepy to me, but there it was. That's how they shot it. That's how they did it. That's how they did it. Decisions were made, and this is how we're going to shoot this scene. So Poor Heather's getting raped by the scars, and then it snaps to the shot of Cindy and Brenda, and they're in Principal Underwood's office, and they're both talking because the principal's like, "Why are you fighting?" Blah 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 blah, and it's funny because he's telling the Cindy girl to stop crying. He's like, "Stop
hilarious.
Crying, stop crying, you stop sniveling, you sniveling bitch, stop crying." So she's all weepy and crying. We snap back to the rape that's going on, but the rape turns into a really strange thing where at one point Fargo and Jake kiss during the rape scene.
So fucking strange.
What kind of gang is the Scars? What is happening here? So the guys are, pushing and trying to take turns or being forced to take turns or whatever it is.
It's a gang bang. That's what type of gang it is.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarification. Always need to know what's going on. Always need to know. So now we're back. Next scene where the girls discover Heather. Okay, because the girls are now looking over. They're searching the school looking for Heather. Of course, it's kind of challenging because if she can't hear, how could they be calling for her? They finally find her. They tell Brenda. Brenda's mad, screams.
But
okay, yeah.
I think you kind of skirted over the most important scene in that movie. It was like that rape scene. It wasn't just a regular rape scene. They raped two people. They raped the deaf girl, and then they also raped the little, what's his name, the little high school boy, because I felt like they raped him too because he didn't want to do it, and they really just forced him and peer pressured him into raping this girl. So I think two
I
people
agree.
got raped.
I agree. And that wasn't consented. He just did it because one, he's afraid of them, and two, he's they're making him do it. He can't disobey them. So I totally agree.
Yeah. In fact, like for Vince, the storyline would have been really interesting if Vince and Brenda joined forces to get
Yep.
to the scars. Like
Yep.
that would have been a really interesting story. But Vince, or the other thing is, let's say it's a whole different story and it's about Vince trying to outrun the other guys, kind of like change his ways and outrun the other guys. But I caught that. Vince is definitely not really into the rape very much, and is kind of forced into the situation, and later has a great deal of remorse, you find out, for being in that
Yep.
situation. So now the girls are Brenda is at the hospital, Heather's at the hospital, her head's all the way wrapped up, and you're wondering, well, what happened so much? And then you realize that in the edited version, Jake had kicked her a bunch more times. That's why she has all the bandages over her head. Brenda is wearing all black at the hospital, and you could see the signs of the black eye on her right eye because she'd been in the fight with Cindy. Okay, the mom's there, Brenda's there, Heather's in the hospital bed. The next shot, we're at Brenda's house. The black eye's gone. Okay, and Brenda's wearing a whole different outfit with like jean jacket or something like that. So somewhere in there, she must have been able to do the Superwoman and like magically change. She changes pretty quick. Now here's something that I both times I watched it, I was scratching my head. So the sister's hurt. Brenda is upset about the sister being hurt and has also just been in a fight. Why would the mom take him to a loud, noisy club where there's bands playing?
Yes.
So it's, what is going on? Karlos, did you catch that? Like the 80s club?
Yeah.
I did catch the 80s. So maybe she was trying to get their minds off of it and trying to get them, because even though I think they went to that club though because the girl was still getting married, because wasn't the other girl there and they were all like celebrating? That's what I got from it.
Yeah, the Satans always hang out together. They're a clique, so they're always going to be together. But you would think
I thought that they were at the club like to celebrate like her marriage and like her like a little bachelorette party thing.
Right. Yeah, I thought maybe. Oh, you think it's a bachelorette function?
Yep.
Yeah, because she was going to go get her dress or something the next day or something like that. I remember, but I thought it was like a bachelorette function.
Yeah, I thought it was planned already, but that whole incident happened, so they went afterwards, and now she's distraught, and
Yep, that's what I got too, CoCo.
Okay, now let me ask you this one: can either one of you do those dances that the 80s people were doing?
No, I am
like
not that. I am not that swaggerific.
So the only dance that had me dying, did you guys see the black girl standing on the desk?
Yes.
Just moving her fucking arms.
Yes.
I rewound and I watched that part like 4 times. And she was like, it was in the background, but I wasn't even focusing on what was in the foreground. I was just watching her dance in the background. She was killing it.
There was some pretty funny dancing. If anybody wants to know how to 80s dance, I think you should zoom right into this scene about 37 minutes in and just watch how those people are rocking it, man. They're owning it. They're owning the 80s right there. In full flare. There you go. Full blingage, full flare. Next shot, Vince is basically at work, and the guys are trying to track him down. I don't know why they want Vince. I think that one of the storylines is that they're worried that Vince is going to squeal.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're kind of worried. They're kind of worried that I'm assuming that's where they're going, but I still don't understand, why does Vince want to hang out with these guys? Why
you know what it is, Doug? I feel like Vince wants to belong because he's so tiny. I feel like he's been fucked with a lot, and they finally took him under their wing, and he's like, yeah, I'm with the big guys. So he's torn because he wants to be involved with them, but he knows the fucked up shit they do, so he doesn't know where to go.
Interesting. So you think it's a pack mentality?
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. See, I'm a super small guy, and I wouldn't have hung out with those guys. I would have been just doing my own thing. I would have just distanced myself very
but
fast.
Doug, I'm sure listen. Vince looks like he's been dunked in the toilet like several fucking times. That's the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I
feel like he's had it rough, and people have picked on him, and he finally got these guys who everyone's afraid of. And he's like, yeah, I'm part of them. Now I won't get fucked with. But then he realizes the shit they do to people, and he doesn't want any part of it, but he's stuck. And I feel like he's just torn.
There you go. That's a story right there.
Right? See?
That's a story right there.
Thinking
I don't
deep.
know, Savage Streets, starring John Verker or whatever Vince's name is. So Jake finally shows up, and so Jake shows up to the club now, and he's trying to track down his sub dealer, his coke dealer mule guy, and he sees the guy, and Vince kind of comes into the scene, and they're all sitting at this table, right? They're all sitting and they're talking. He tries to shake down the coke guy. The coke guy gives him some money because he had it, and then Fast Hands Fargo again grabs a waitress, and he's just groping her left and right, grabbing her boo-bahs, squeezing like there's no tomorrow. No security, no screaming from the waitress. No
fight. It's crazy. I don't know what's wrong with these bitches. It's fucking crazy.
The band plays on. The band just
the horrible band.
Right. The horrible. At this venture, I'm like, damn, this club scene is a long ass scene. Yeah. So it's a long scene. Finally, Jake and Fargo. Francine's coming back from the bathroom. Okay, and she's the one that was about to get married. And Fargo, again, Groper, grabs Francine, and he's like, this one's not good. She's got too small boobs or whatever. Right? I'm going to throw her back. So he throws her to Jake, and they kind of are tossing back and forth. The girl's kind of panicking. Finally, go ahead.
High key Fargo was the only one out of that group that I would let even touch me. I mean,
right?
all of them had like rotting teeth and shit, but he had a nice little hairy chest and a nice little figure that he liked showing off with his open shirts.
Of all the ones.
Was it the leather vest? Is that what sold you?
I think it was the chest and the leather vest. Yeah, that's what got me. I was like, okay, Fargo.
Okay. Oh my God, you're killing me. That's so funny. So, needless to say, as this scene of them grabbing Francine is happening, Francine's boyfriend Richie, or fiance Richie, him and his pal are just like, they don't do anything. They walk over there like, hey man, maybe you should leave the girl alone. Maybe you should leave the girl alone.
That was so awkward. I forgot that was her fiance just because of that. Because they walked over like they were like just some like vigilante fucking guys in the club that were just trying to help her. I totally forgot that was her fiance. Yo, if that was anybody I was with, they would have been murdered. So I was so confused.
Right. Where I come from, it's like you just come swinging with a chair, like when they're not looking, you just rock them over the back with a chair, and then escape through the back. Right. It's a whole different universe. But apparently these white people in this club in 1984 are very civilized, and they're gonna, in a very civilized way, walk up to their to the rapees and be like, hey, why don't you leave the girl alone? Which of course starts a fight. As this fight breaks out, Francine is now against the wall, and Red's holding her, has her at knife point. Right? Yep. And the guys are fighting, blah, 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 blah. And then Red somehow or another drops his knife. Francine grabs the knife and does a slasher. Woof! She slashes really fast, and she catches Jake across the face. Mm-hmm. Bam! Slice and dice. Jake is hit. He's not Stitch's hit, but he's definitely sliced in the face, and he's going to want revenge, right? Now, we're back to...
I must have missed that part where she sliced him because later in the story I was wondering why that happened, but I missed that. I didn't see that part where she sliced him in the face.
She sliced him in the face with the knife, with Red's knife. Boom. It's like West Side Story right there, dude. I'm telling you, drama, freaking drama right there, right there. So, now we're back at the school, and the gang's hanging out, and they're acting like nothing has happened. They're acting like, it's a regular day. But Heather's been raped, Francine's been groped, and had to stab the scars. But it's another day at whatever it's called, high school. Let's see here. Moving down.
Wait. Before we move on, did you guys get a kick out of when the girl got beat up, went to the hospital? It said doctor's hospital. Like, did you see that on the building?
Yes.
That killed me. I don't know why that killed me. I was like, really, y'all could have come up with anything more creative than doctor's hospital.
Right. That was pretty good. What else are they going to call it? Cow's hospital? It's like doctor's hospital. All right. Okay. That's where we're going. That's funny though. That's funny you caught that. I remember seeing that. So we're inside their classroom, in Mrs. Young's classroom, okay? And they're talking about poetry and all this stuff. And Richie, the guy who didn't fight for his girlfriend Francine, says until way later, he says, I think I'm gonna do some poetry, and he does this pretty bad poem, and it's like, a disco sucks, punk is dead, give me rock or give me head, okay, which is okay, it is what it is, but high school, inappropriate. But then the teacher, Mrs. Young, flips it and wants the girls to start talking about blowjobs in class. What is going on? What is going on, Courtney?
I was all for it. I was like, oh, snap. Because there's always that one teacher that just, wants to relate to them, but is doing it in a not creepy way. I think that was executed pretty well. I would have rocked with her. I've been like, I love Miss whatever her name is class. Because she's talking about my head. She's asking me what it is. And then she flips it into an assignment. She's like, make sure to find other references to love and death. And I was like, this is dope. This bitch knows what she's doing.
No, I wasn't like, this was dope. I was like, where's the curriculum?
Poetry and books go hand in hand, Karlos.
Okay, but what homework did you have before he said that?
Right, very true.
Like, oh, well, now do this homework. Like... no.
You want some Keats and some Yeats, Edgar Allan Poe. You want real poetry here. You don't want the disco sucks. Head poetry.
When I was in school, first of all, when we did poetry, we were doing I almost said Heimlichs. Not Heimlichs. We were not doing Heimlichs. What is it called? Limericks or something? When they rhyme. Haikus. Yes, haikus and shit like that. We weren't doing sex and rock and roll and giving head. And then the bitch stood up and kissed him.
I'm sure Miss whatever her name is follows the curriculum perfectly fine the rest of the year. It might have been the end of the year.
Listen.
When they get lax.
That movie is why we now have the Me Too movement.
He's so upset.
Yes, dude, that's that's so funny. I love it. All right, we're gonna keep jumping down the timeline. So the next scene, basically the next important scene is they're all in the science teacher's classroom. Once again, let the boner jokes fly and ha ha ha. I did see Stella doing the jerk on the desk. Is that what you're talking about when she's dancing?
That's what we're talking about.
That was pretty old school. So he pulls down the health ed thing about the reproductive system. Of course, there's your boner joke, which was funny. Ray for boner jokes. Cuts to Jake and the guys there at the bleachers. And they're trying to figure out what happened to the girl at the hospital. And they find out that the girl at the hospital, Heather, might die. Cindy and Brenda are still kind of duking it out. And then all of a sudden, another fight breaks out between Brenda and Cindy ends up getting topless again. Or this is the first time for Cindy getting topless. What do you think about that one? It's not just the shower fight. Now we're talking the science teacher, Mr. Meeker's classroom fight.
Whoa. I thought that was the ultimate one up. I thought that was dope. She's like, if I can't, because they were neck and neck in this fight. They were pulling hair. I couldn't tell who was gonna win. All she had to do was pull down and expose the titties. Game over, and I loved it.
Boom.
And I loved how they pushed her into the science teacher, and the science teacher's like, "Oh my God, no!" It was great.
What was pretty funny is that Brenda, as she pulled her top down, I don't know if you caught it, but on her right breast, she got scratched really pretty bad, which didn't look like it was like makeup or anything like that. Like, whoa,
it was real.
She really got scratched, which is pretty funny. You go, yep. So anyway, the girls are back at the principal's office again. The second time they're back there. What I thought was really
he's a fucking creep.
He is the creep because you know what he tries to say? He tries to say that it was Heather's fault that she got raped.
Yes.
She shouldn't have been there. And you're like, oh, Principal Underwood, you're not going that way, are you? And yes, he does. He throws down the card. He says, your sister shouldn't have been there. That's the reason why she's raped. Of course, Brenda tells him, fuck you. Then he suspends her. Bam.
Sadly, though, that was the 1980s. That was every decade besides like the 2000s. I mean, it's been in the world where women get blamed for being raped, and that was just the way it was. I mean, it's no excuse, but that's the way the mentality was, and I guess that's kind of realistic, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
The reason, like, did you guys catch even before then, like how when she was in the principal's office, I think the first time, and he was like, "You're a pretty girl. You got good grades and a nice figure." I was like, "You are fucking great."
Yes, I caught that. Yeah, he was one step away from like Creeperville. Like, well, not even a step away. He was living in Creeperville right there. That guy was creepy, creepy principal. Ooh, you know where that story is.
In Creeperville. He's
which would have been
rooted.
Which would have been one of the best vigilante setups ever. Like, I love that story. Ditch the scars are horrible. What about her trying to get back at the school?
True.
Bam, for suppressing her sister's rape. Bam, that would have been a great story.
They
already
have the ball on a lot.
They already have that show. It's called 13 Reasons Why.
Oh my God.
Okay. So the girls are meeting. Now the girls are kind of meeting outside the high school. They decide that they're going to go to Maria's mom, again, Mexican stereotype, the seamstress, because Francine needs to try on her wedding dress. She tries on the wedding, just throwing it out there. I catch it, throwing it out there. So now Francine has picked up her wedding dress, and she's walking from one part of downtown LA, East LA, to another part. The scars are now chasing her in their car. Boom, 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 boom. They're chasing her all through the streets. She's running. Jake picks her up and throws her off a bridge.
Yep.
So Francine is flying through the sky and lands, boom, on the street, dies, poof, dead. What do you think about that, Karlos? What do you think about that?
See, I was so traumatized by this show. I honestly, when that scene happened, I just like I couldn't explain it. I was just like, what the fuck is really? I'd curse you out, Doug, and I was like, why does this white man have me watching this shit?
I'm gonna get you on the next. Well, don't just wait for the.
Can we watch Roots? Like something not familiar.
Oh my God.
Yes. No, we'll do it. So poor Francine's dead. She's gone flying off the bridge. The gang's at the wedding reception hall, but they're wondering where she is.
Homeboy freaked out. Homeboy was like, "You're fucking crazy! You're fucking crazy!"
Right. Vince freaks out because now keep in mind, Jake throws Francine over the bridge just because she cut him in the face. That's the only reason. He didn't even need any stitches, and she got thrown right off the bridge. Sopranos style, right off the bridge. So the gang's at the wedding reception room, the rental hall. The girl doesn't arrive. They're wondering where she is. Finally, it cuts to the hospital, and Brenda sees Vince at the hospital because Vince, after the scars throw Francine over the ledge there, Vince is freaking out, and he's even more conflicted than before because he realizes that not only are these guys bad guys, but he's going to get in a lot of trouble just being around them. There's this rape, there's this other murder. So he's running down the streets and having these flashbacks, and he wants to go to the hospital to see Heather. He arrives at the hospital. Brenda sees him. Brenda gets pissed off, punches him, beats him up and throws him out of the hospital. Vince is now running down the street, having flashbacks of the rape. And then it does this cut scene. It cuts to Brenda at her house, and she's sitting in the bathtub, and it's a topless shot. But boy, is that a long shot. Holy smokes. That thing's like 9 minutes long.
You skipped over a lot of stuff, Doug.
I did. What are you talking about?
Vince sat there and was like, I'm sorry that they murdered you, and I raped you. I didn't want to. And homegirl heard it. That's why she whooped his ass.
That's why
and then she drove home. My question is, who's paying for these people? Because none of them seems to have jobs, but they all got nice-ass cars.
Right.
She drove home to a nice-ass house. Then she got by the time she got into the bathtub, I was tired of seeing titties.
Right. Okay, great. Okay, so we're over Linda Blair's topless shot. Boom.
But you know what, Doug? Hold on. I have to say this.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, to be totally honest, I thought she was like a chunky girl, like just from like the clothes and like what she was looking like on the other scenes. But then when she was in the tub, I was like, oh snap, girl, she's a little snatched. I was actually like, I was impressed. Yep, she was pretty. She had it going on. Yep.
So in the tub, while she's in the tub smoking a cigarette, that's when she decides she's going to get her revenge on the guys. Okay. And so the first thing she does is she goes to Jake's house. Oh, I'm sorry. She goes to Vince's house, and she tells Vince's dad, like, oh, I got to do a project with Vince or whatever it is. And she sneaks inside, and she's holding Vince by the with a knife. Right. And then Vince tells her that Francine's dead. Now, I don't know anything other than the last thing you want to do when somebody's holding a knife to your head is telling them about even more bad news. Damn, Vince, you are a dumb motherfucker, because that was a bad call. So did you catch that? Did you catch that?
I did. I caught that.
Okay, good. So I thought that was pretty, like, wow. It's pretty funny that he's saying that stuff. We move, the dad doesn't do anything. The poor guy's upstairs getting knife point by Brenda. Dad doesn't do anything. Next shot, Brenda's buying supplies. Okay.
Does she actually kill him though? I don't think she killed him.
No.
No.
She doesn't kill him. She doesn't kill him. But then she goes shopping and
buys her
she's shopping for weapons. But you're wondering, well, what happened to Vince? I don't know. We're just gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that rabbit trail just untapped for a minute. Finally, you see Red and Fargo are walking down this dark alley. Okay, you haven't seen Jake, but you see Red and Fargo, and Brenda appears, and Brenda has this pipe, and she's trying to taunt the guys. And the guys are like, whatever, just I'm gonna fuck you first, bitch, or whatever they're saying.
Yeah.
And Brenda's doing this very funny kind of has this very funny cackle going on, and she's trying to lure the guys into the fabric warehouse. She lures them into the warehouse. They can't find her. She's sneaky, blah, 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 blah. Finally, pachink, she takes out pachink, just like that. She takes out Fargo with the crossbow. Boom, he gets hit.
Doug,
it's pretty bad.
I really wanted to mention this because the crafter in me was like, oh man, all this fucking fabric, like at hand, I would take so many reams of that shit. Like, I'm in this fucking factory. Like, I was literally itching to take a bunch of that fabric. Just wanted to put that out there. Continue.
Right. There were a lot of bolts of fabric right there. You could have made all kinds of dresses, all kinds of tube tops. You could have made all kinds of tube tops right there.
Exactly.
So Red, of course, is running around, and he's wondering where the girl is. And his best line is like, where's the pussy? Like that's his line.
Uh-huh.
He's still running around the warehouse. Finally, Jake runs down. Jake, who's been looking for Vince, finds Vince in the alley where he's working and runs him down. Do you remember when Jake runs over Vince?
Yep.
Yes, so he runs over Vince. Yep. Now, finally, Jake is at the warehouse, and he's trying to find Red and Fargo. Hey, where are you guys? Blah, 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 blah. Of course, he opens the door, and Jake and Red have both been tied up, right? And their legs are bound and all that stuff. And Jake's like, oh my God, they're dead. But what's funny is that you see it one cutaway shot, and you can see like Fargo, his eyes are like open, and he's like blinking and like looking around. Did you catch that in the background? He's supposed to be dead. Like one scene he's slumped over dead. The next scene he's like sitting up looking around like, hey, where's the donuts?
No, I didn't catch that.
It's pretty stupid. It's pretty stupid. So going down the timeline, Brenda and Jake are kind of squaring off. Brenda makes this rig with her car and accelerates her car, and this rope kind of goes around Jake's feet, and now she has him hanging upside down, which I thought was pretty dope. Which I thought was pretty dope. But what's funny is she didn't kill him right there. She had her opportunity. She doesn't kill the guy at all. What she does is she starts taunting him and whatever it is, and he swings and knocks her down. And now he gets out, even though he's been shot in both legs with the crossbow, he is able to loosen himself from the ropes. He's moving. He's chasing her now.
That's first of all.
That happens.
Like, with human anatomy. Did you see the way he ripped his tendon?
Yes.
He put those arrows out. Like, there's no walking, sir, for you, and no fighting back. I'm sorry, that was a little way unrealistic.
Right. Well, I think her plan up to this point was pretty good, but at the point where she had him hanging upside down and she didn't kill him, then the plan sucked. Like from there forward, it totally sucked.
Starting with like when she hopped in her car to go get the shit for like her weapons and stuff, then the movie started going downhill for me. I don't know why. I feel like it was rushed, and like the ending was just like they had to end this shit. So I feel like that's the feeling I got from it.
That's how I feel too.
They're bringing it in
so much. They took so much time on character development in the first 45 minutes, and you got to learn about weddings and deaf people, and then they just like dropped everything to her shooting people with arrows. What the fuck is going on?
The vigilante part was pretty lame. So I'll wrap up the story. So needless to say, Jake is chasing her. He chases her into this paint shop. Brenda gets this flammable fluid and pours it on him. She sets Jake on fire with her lighter because she's a tough chick and she's always smoking. Jake jumps out the window. The cop arrives, and the cop's not even just like whatever. Doesn't faze him that there's a man on fire out in the middle of the street. It doesn't say, "Hey, you lady, hold it right there." Nothing at all. Just lets it go. Finally, Heather's out of the hospital. So they're at the cemetery for Francine. They're mourning. That's the Inglewood Cemetery. Anybody wants to know? Finally, they're out of the hospital. Heather's out, but nobody's ever jailed in this story. Like Brenda's never thrown in jail or gone to court or anything like that.
There's no justice. It's just the way the 80s were. I'm guessing. Doug,
right.
you know. You were like 54 in the 80s.
I was like 54 in the 80s. I can count on my toes. I was, So, needless to say, nobody's brought to justice for Heather's rape. Nobody's brought to justice for I guess nobody even questions, what happened to Jake, the guy that got set on fire. The other dead bodies, okay, maybe they deserved it. Nobody's brought to justice for Francine, right? Because they're all dead. Right? They've all died. So now we're at the cemetery, and they're kind of talking about I guess having memories of Francine, and maybe they've survived and they've lived through this tragic experience, and the credits start to roll up, and we're at the end of Savage Streets.
Yep.
Whew.
Powerful.
That was That's one word. Carlos, what's your one word? Come on, give us one word to explain it.
I have two words. White privilege.
Okay.
How do you go? That whole show was white privilege. That whole movie, like the rape culture, just the grabbing. Nobody got arrested. Just let those be all black characters. It would have been a whole different storyline. It would have been like everybody going to prison. everybody's going to jail.
Right. Right. That's so funny. That's so funny. All right. On the trivia, that's funny. On the trivia side, we talked a little bit about how they had to cut the movie down almost 25 minutes because it was just too violent. It's just too rapey and too violent, too graphic. In fact, the version that is on Amazon is supposedly like an edited B version, and it's very hard to find the uncut version. There were some uncut versions.
Doug,
yeah,
there is an uncut original version for $2,000 on Amazon. I saw.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? and do you know why it's so expensive?
Because it's rare.
Yeah,
right?
Well, and yes, and also that they were going to release it in the late 90s, but the warehouse in Europe caught fire, so all of the product.
Wow.
Yeah, so all of the product, like it really, like they manufactured a bunch, and that warehouse caught on fire. So the version that's $2,000, that's because there's just not a lot of inventory for those.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there you go, kind of crazy. The if anybody knows the band The Runaways, Cherie Currie, who was the singer for The Runaways, she was supposed to originally play the Brenda part. Which was pretty cool. On the favorite characters, there weren't really a lot of effects on this one, but there were a lot. But the characters were pretty funny. Who was your favorite, Courtney? Who was your favorite character in this story?
What was that girl's name? Stevie? It was her or the Mexican girl. I liked their characters only because they were like caring yet like strong, feisty characters. I think they were a good, I guess, compliment to Brenda, because Brenda's just like the stone-faced, handle business, doesn't take shit, and the other ones were kind of like, doing their own thing, typical 80s ratchet fun girls, and so I kind of like them just based on like it was just a good contrast from the seriousness. And I also like that the Stevie girl kind of looked like Amy Winehouse, and I thought that was cool.
That's cool. I'll go with both those. That's cool. I liked her specials shirt. She had a shirt that said specials on it when she's in gym class. It's cute. That's probably what she was listening to. Carlos, what about you? Who's your favorite character and why?
I like the rapey guy with the vest, with the chest.
Of course.
Okay,
of course
Fargo.
You like rapey guy with the vest.
He was his honest self. I mean,
I'm done. That was the only reason why Carlos watched this movie.
Right.
I was just hoping to see some ding-a-ling, but I didn't see any, and I was just really disappointed. Sexism in Hollywood is real, guys. We can show women's naked body, but we can't show a men's naked body. Why not?
We're working on it. If you like him, the guy's name was Sal Landy, and he's still working right now, and you could find him on How to Get Away with Murder. He's still there.
So, wait, I watched that show. What role does he play on? Wait, let me run.
I don't know. You got to research it. It's Sal Landy. He's
Sal Landy.
Landi. And you could ask to send, say, hey man, Snapchat me some dick pics, and we just go and see what's going on.
Hashtag me too. Totally
there you go.
Different now.
Oh my
totally
God.
Look different.
Well,
he's 67 fucking years old.
See, it's like my age. There you go.
I'm done. He's so disappointed.
See, it's Hollywood, dude. It's Hollywood.
Wait, hold up. Guys. So, Linda Blair was 25 years old in that movie, right? She's 59 now. If that dude is 67 years old, how much older was he in that movie playing a fucking high school, whatever, dropout older guy?
He was in his early 30s.
Early 30s.
That's crazy.
Early 30s. I love it. All right. Well, I'm gonna start winding this show down. It's been fun. Thank you for participating in it, making me laugh, enjoying the experience. Courtney, I'm going to go with you first. Tell me what's going on with you this week. Anything you want to plug or hype, anything like that? What's happening this week in your world?
I just hope you guys tune in on Wednesday because I have another awesome topic. I'm kind of fine-tuning it, but listen to it on Savage. What are we calling it? Savage Bullshit or Straight Savage? We never fucking figured it out.
I don't know. We never figured it out.
It's going to be popping this week, I promise you. But that's pretty much all I got.
Okay, cool. Karlos, what about you? I know you're a super busy guy. Anything you want to tell people about what's going on maybe this week or the not too distant future?
Yeah, so I have a new show coming out on my YouTube channel called Netflix and Spiel. So definitely, we're reviewing 13 Reasons Why. And if you haven't watched that series, please watch it. It's funny.
Please.
It's hilarious.
It's not supposed to be.
Right.
God, Karlos.
You know I rolled my eyes and giggled through that whole series. So definitely go look at my my take on that series. And I think that's about it. Just have auditions this week and wish me luck on those. And that's about all I'm doing this week.
All right, good to know. You can find Karlos out there in the cloud. Give him what's best for you, Instagram, or what's your best?
I've actually formatted all my platforms, so just my name. So Karlos Dillard is Karlos with a K and Dillard, and you can find me on all platforms using that name.
There you go. That's how you can track down Karlos. And now we're at the spot where we're going to reveal the next movie. Drum roll, please. Ready? Cue the movie voice. Here we go. Ready? A black nurse takes vigilante justice against inner city dealers after her sister becomes their latest victim. Pam Grier stars in Coffee from 1973.
You are not going to hit us with the black exploitation movies. You really?
Come on. It's a beautiful movie. I can't wait. Tell me you don't want to watch it.
There should be schlong in there, Karlos, by the way. All of the black exploitation movies have schlong. All right.
Okay.
For people who are researching it, it's Coffee, Coffy, not
That's right.
Coffee.
And I think the tagline might have been "Coffee, baby," something like that. So just get ready. I love the trailer. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the trailer. I'm jacked to see this one. Very excited. So for all of the people in podcast land, here's how it works. We're going to post the trailer. I think this one's going to be a Vudu one, but it's reasonably priced. You can find it out there in the cloud. Go for it however you get films. Watch it. Send us a comment. Tell us what you think. Join in on the chat. All that. We're going to watch this thing together. We're going to talk about it together. It's going to be a blast. So that's where we are there.
One thing.
Yes.
Update.
Yes.
I paid $3 for Savage Streets, okay? So, I don't know. You owe me lunch if I ever go to fucking LA.
It was definitely on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You got to talk to Karlos. He's got the hookup.
I got the hookup. I watched it on my Xbox on YouTube.
Oh, well, see, we got a PlayStation. We gotta figure it out. But I will talk to you next time.
That's funny. Okay, we got to work on the free links. We're going to work on that. All right, so I do want to say thanks to Courtney and Savage Media Radio putting things together. It's a ton of fun working with you. I love it. Thank you. If you want to check out Worst of the Worst, there's a Facebook page, Worst of the Worst Podcast, just like it sounds. Let's see, if you want to track Worst of the Worst down, podcast, WOTW, both on Twitter and Instagram, really easy. Finally, the Worst of the Worst is on iTunes. So we're working out the bugs right now. But if you type in Savage Media Radio or Worst of the Worst Podcast, you'll see it. That's definitely a spot where you're going to want to rate, review, a comment, so forth. That helps us keep the thing going. If you want to reach us directly, podcast, WOTW@gmail.com, or of course, savageonair@gmail.com. And other than that, that is episode number 2. Thank you for tuning in. Cue the music, Courtney. Here we go.